Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to our next half of the broadcast, to HomeStory Cup number 24, Group A, Part 1. Part 1, of course. We're going to be having Part 2 tomorrow for the rest of the group, for the rest of the broadcast. But for now, we're halfway there. We are halfway there. And up next, we have Elazer versus DnS. Two players that I would say are pretty comparable at the moment. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm putting too much stock in DnS. Maybe I'm too much of a fanboy here, but I'm excited. We saw DnS struggle a little bit against Serral, but I mean, everyone struggles against Serral. I want to believe that DnS will have a stronger showing here against Elazer, but we'll see. We'll see if that is going to be the case as we get ready for our first game. Get ready for game number 1 on hard lead. Let's go. Let us go. I see in the chat a bit of talk about reruns on the ESL channel. From my understanding, ESL, they actually have reruns for all their channels, like for StarCraft, CSGO, and Dota as well. So yeah, they have reruns on all of their esports, from my understanding. And if there was any proof that it negatively impacted viewership on live audience, then I imagine they wouldn't do it if that was the case. I don't think that's the case. But here we go. We're getting into this, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of hard lead, we have the Polish Zerg player, the blue Zerg representing Team Liquid. It is Elazer. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the French Protoss, the red Protoss representing the Platinum Heroes. It is DnS. Go. So we are going to be settling into this again. DnS earlier was facing up against Serral, and we saw a couple of different styles. I'm getting some deja vu. We saw them both face off here on hard lead earlier today. DnS went for a very heavy tech-heavy style, going for a Stargate opener into a third, into +1 charge, into double Robo Colossus production. It wasn't until he got 4 Colossus out where he could start being active, but by that time, Serral had full map control, had teched up into a hive, worked towards Vipers, had 5 bases, 85 drones, and he just never allowed DnS to establish a 5th base, just contained DnS for the entire game, and DnS was never able to max out, never able to break free. Again, Serral was able to identify this tech-heavy style and defensive style from DnS and take advantage of him by getting up into Vipers so incredibly quickly. We'll see how Elazer's approach to this is going to be, and we'll see if DnS does this again on hard lead. I mentioned at the time I wasn't too fond of it on this map. I do think that it's quite difficult, just because of the short rush distance by ground and how spread out and open some of these bases can be, especially when the rocks get knocked down here at the triangular third. It's very exposed. You can attack from multiple angles. Likewise, you know, the linear third base is more defendable, don't get me wrong, but also a little bit further apart. There are definitely better maps. There are better maps where you can be defensive on and be tech heavy on. So I'm curious if DnS does it again, or if he has a different approach. For now, should be a Stargate opener. Gate expand into the Cybercore. Stargate opener here from DnS. Meanwhile, across the map, Elazer going for a hatch gas pool. Here we go. So everything is looking pretty normal so far. Pretty normal, pretty by the book from both Elazer and DnS. Probe moves out just to be a little bit of an annoyance, but it is going to be thrown away by these Lings, which means Elazer can finally expand and take that third base on location. Adept has arrived, but I believe should be a little bit too late to deny the third, as the hatchery is now thrown down. From here, the Adept, its job is just to scout, be a little bit annoying, maybe pick off a drone or two. As you do get a couple of hits in, one Ling goes down. We commit to the shade. Oh, the follow-up shade a little bit late, but thankfully not a lot of Lings. We do back off. We do preserve this Adept for the time being, and DnS will back off. And now we meet up with a second. With 2 Adepts, we can one-shot workers, so this suddenly becomes that much more threatening, but Ling speed is about to kick in, and with Ling speed, Elazer can keep up and shut down whatever aggression that DnS brings to the table, as the Adepts are forced back. Behind this, there's a Stargate. Oracle is on the way. Behind this Oracle, we should be throwing down a third momentarily. We'll see if we take the linear third or the triangular third base location for DnS. Immediately, the Lings are here. The Lings of Elazer are here to deny any kind of third, but they do miss the Adepts. Here we go. The Oracle dives into that natural base. No Spore, by the way. And drones are going to be pulled back. The Lings, they get here just in time. 2 drones go down, but we shut down the Adepts. We get a full surround, and both Adepts will fall. Meanwhile, the Oracle not able to punish this. Again, Elazer, he's a very greedy player here in ZvP. He often does avoid Spore Crawlers, but there we go. Now they are on the way. They're late, but they're on the way nonetheless to make sure that we have them up and running for the second Oracle. Things they come in for a counterattack, but the Oracles are in position, and this third base is going to get up and running. Third Oracle is in production. DnS starts moving out, but he does expose his own base here. We do have a couple of Adepts to defend. We will force back those Lings. And we are zooming across the map. No drone here at the natural. We have 2 Queens in position. We will force back those Oracles for the time being. Robo follow-up. Interesting. Okay. He's doing it again. Oh no! As the Oracle takes a lot of hits. 1 shot from going down, and we do manage to escape here towards the top left-hand corner of the map. The another Oracle comes in for a stasis trap, though. And it will go up. Late reaction out of Elazer. Aye. 4 drones and the Queen do get caught, which means that this Oracle can escape if we so chose to. Another Oracle coming in from the right-hand side. Queens, though, they are keeping up. They do zone it back. But again, do you see what I see? I see a lack of Twilight Council. So Robo and Forge, a very tech-heavy style. This is for +1 early Immortal production, eventually for a delayed Twilight Council. Essentially, because there's no Twilight Council, it means that DnS can't really be active on the map anytime soon. He will eventually throw down the Twilight Council, but that'll be much later. And there it is, the bay is on the way. So we're getting to really fast Colossus production. And there's the second Robo. So double Robo Colossus production. This is very similar to how he played against Serral. I say similar because he still went for a faster Twilight Council in charge. But yeah, this is just a very defensive style here. And as we mentioned before, the power spike for DnS is his first 2 Colossus and then his 3rd and 4th Colossus. His 4 Colossus push can be terrifying. Already though, Elazer just now working towards his lair here. It's on Elazer to scout. It's on Elazer to figure out what the hell's going on. And once he does, he already sees another Robo on the way, but for all he knows, it's the first Robo. Once he figures out what's going on, we need Hive Tech. We need a tech up, we need to be greedy, we need to drone up as well, and make sure we don't waste any resources on roaches. Or not too early on, I should say. So it is, we have our first Immortal on the way. Safety Immortal, just because we're working with so little to defend. There are a lot of Lings coming out, and can Elazer punish the greed? We dive on top of the Adepts, we dive on top of the Sentry. Do force a defensive warp in here. And it looks like we should be able to barely hold on the Oracles. They have been recalled back home. The Immortal! There's no shield battery! But we have plenty of Zealots. Yeah, the Lings are forced out. They don't get any damage done. They do kill the Sentry, which is nice, but DnS does hold. And again, he's getting away with all these Colossi. Delayed charge. The charge is delayed because we don't need it anytime soon, because DnS isn't pushing anytime soon. He's stuck at home. Like, the downside of this playstyle here from DnS is that you're not active. It means that Elazer is free to drone. He's free to drone heavily, expand, double expand, get a hive, get an infestation pit, do whatever we want. And again, usually if Dark was in this position, we would see a fast Hydra Den into a fast Lurker Den into Hydra Lurker Viper. Elazer, he's committing to Lingbane Roach Ravager for the time being, which is okay. I do think he over-invested in this. We have a lot of Lings and they haven't really done much yet. We do depower some of these gateways. Colossi have been revealed with the revelation of these Colossi, with the lack of charge. Elazer now knows what's been going on, and now he's droning. He's making away with workers. Now we see the infestation, but this could have been a little bit earlier, but again, Elazer only just now got confirmation of what was happening with the revelation of the Colossi. And yeah, so with this infestation bit, that should be for Hive Tech. We'll see if it's fast enough. Again, Vipers would completely shut down this style, as you saw before. The Oracles, they get a couple of drone kills. They threaten the 5th base. Evo Chambers are finishing. Roach Speed is on the way. Station bit wrapping up as well. We are working towards that 4th Colossus. Now, if you remember, I was saying that before, we could go 4 Colossi into Disruptors. I think last time we saw a heavy Immortals count. And there we go. Immortals are on the way. Oh, a little bit supply blocked. 5 pylons being thrown down. But it looks like we're going 4 Colossus into Immortal production into Storm. At least that's what happened previously. Meanwhile, Hive is on the way again. This is later than Serral's Hive, if you want to compare our 2 series. Compare how Serral fared against DnS. But we'll see if it comes out in time. as DnS is going to have a bit of a power spike soon. Once he gets his immortals up, I mean, I say that, I think he's still going to stay at home until he saturates his 4th. If that's the case, Elazer should get away with this hive. There we go, he's still just hyperfixated on Lingbane Roach Ravager. Amassing his army, maxing out, working on his upgrades, bailing speeds on the way, +1 range as well with the double Eva chamber. And yeah, DnS, he's chilling. There we go, he's just heavily fortifying himself, walling up as best he can, stasis traps, cannons, shield batteries, immortals, archons. For all intents and purposes, we are building up this death ball of an army, and off of a 4-base economy, we can sustain this. Now, I'm really curious what's going to happen. Okay, so a big thing here. One, because this hive is later, because the Vipers are later, DnS is actually maxing out. He's actually reaching that 200 supply. This is something that he was not able to accomplish against Cyril. So already we see a bit of a different dynamic here. But Elazer is now getting ready to push in. Bailings are rolling in towards that 4th base. Do we have enough to defend? They get in! Up! They barely do, but they do not get into the mineral line. They connect with the stack defense. The cannons, shield batteries, they do hold on. Another stasis trap goes off. Elazer trying to force his way in. DnS has to be very careful not to overextend, as he still has to deal with the 2nd prong here on the right-hand side. So far, DnS is holding. He loses 4 workers, barely anything. Now, from here, this is where we typically would see the Protoss player throw down a fleet beacon. A fleet beacon and a 2nd Stargate. They have maxed out on 4 bases. Now is the time to get ready for Sky Toss, ideally. DnS, though, he's sticking to ground toss. We have Storm on the way, additional cannons as well, +3 attack. That is going to be a strong timing, don't get me wrong, and he's checking, he's scouting, he does get eyes on the hive, but he's still committed to ground toss. Bold move here by DnS, bold move. Elazer working on an Ultra Cavern, interesting. Knocking down these rocks. DnS still has that Storm in production, doesn't have it ready yet. Vipers have arrived. How many Vipers do we have? We have, ooh, 1. Only 1 Viper. Likewise, that Viper has a lot of work to do, has a lot of abductions, and has a lot of High Templar to avoid as well. So not the most ideal army here from Elazer. But this can pay off as, oh, he gets in! The Bailings, they crash into the middle line. That's 27 probes going down, and suddenly Elazer's fine. He takes down an entire mineral line. For one moment, DnS wasn't paying attention. Lings, they come in to clean up all the tank defense as well to make it easier to go for another run by. And DnS just not ready for this, not in position. Caught off guard. He could not allow this to happen. The base itself is going to go down as well. DnS is trying to get another base up and running, but that is huge. And now he's working on +1 on the fleet beacon, on the 2nd Stargate, on Sky Toss. A little bit late of a transition, and I mean, even if this is a bit of a later transition, this would have been fine. This would have been perfect if we kept this mineral line alive, if we were able to defend. DnS now leaving a couple of Archons in position, but it's too little too late. Elazer has momentum. And because of the dead base and the dead mineral line, DnS doesn't have a bank. He doesn't have a bank, which means his transition into Sky Toss is going to be more of an awkward one. Elazer continuing to be aggressive here. He knocks down these gateways. He's creating an opening for those Bailings. The Miles. Not quite connecting with the Oracle. Meanwhile, another Link counterattack. Shield battery's not done. We're getting on top of the Archons. Oh, shield battery just barely keeping it alive. Whew. An efficient fight for Elazer. Sorry, for DnS. My apologies. Does survive with those Archons. Meanwhile, cannon goes down. Elazer on 86 workers. He's got his half of the map already secure. DnS pushing onto creep here for a moment, just clearing up whatever he can. Working on the mothership, carrier production. He's working towards that late game. But again, it's still a long road here for DnS. Ling's going for another counterattack, just barely out of range of the shield battery. The Zealots go down. Nice pickoffs here from DnS. Sorry, from Elazer. Good pickoffs overall. Mothership has arrived. With this Mothership, we could try to skirt around the edge of the map, and there's a world where DnS could try to even recall across the map as well, and he'll have a defensive recall available as well. That's the case later on down the line, of course. Against this kind of army, we can't quite push out. And here we go, Elazer, he pulls the trigger. Going straight for the mineral line. Storms here on the on the Ultras. Nice feedback here on the Viper as well. Big storms. We do crash into the mineral line. 13 workers go down. But the main army of DnS unfazed. And now we can counterattack. Now is the time to push. Elazer, he just spent so much Ling Bane on that base, on the economy. And now we can break free. Now is the time to lay siege on some of these bases of Elazer. And Elazer, he's in some trouble. We have 4 Ultras in production. Yeah, we have to evacuate. Elazer, he knows he cannot hold on to this base. He has triggered a massive counterattack. The army a little bit disjointed. Big storms here, though. On the army, on the Ultras. Archon's pushing forward. Elazer, he's supply blocked. No shot. Elazer is supply blocked. Big storms as well in the speed zone. Archons are pushing on forward. GG gets called, and DnS, he snowballs out of control, taking game number 1. GG. Let's go. And this is what he attempted to do against Cyril previously. Remember, some of the big differences here, Cyril was a lot faster to take up into Hive, and once he did, he prioritized Vipers, and once he got 2 Vipers out, Cyril, he was so aggressive, so assertive every time he pushed in. Remember, Cyril wasn't able to touch the economy of DnS for a long time, but he was able to reset the Colossus. He was able to reset the high-tech units, the Colossus count, the Immortal count, the Archon count. Every time Cyril pushed in, he would hyper-fixate on picking off those high-tech units. Here, it did seem like Elazer, remember, he only made 1 Viper, he was never able to make use of it, and it looked like he was more fixated on crippling the economy. And to be fair, he did kill a mineral line, and he did kill a base, right? That was a good moment. That was a strong moment for Elazer. But he was also stuck with a very fragile army, getting into Ultras as well. And by the time he committed to that final push, DnS was already maxed out. And again, that was something that he was not able to accomplish. I don't think DnS was able to get more than 160 supply against Cyril in that first series. With the same playstyle, by the way, the same style from DnS, but he was never able to exceed 160. He was always just stuck on a low army count because of the constant trades. Here, he was able to get into his final form, and DnS popping up. Oh, my apologies. There we go. DnS popping up, taking game 1. GG. Let's go. Storm into the slow zone. That was a beautiful moment as well. We had the combo of the slow. It's very similar to, like, you know, an army gets fungled and then you bile it. Here the army got slow zoned and then massive storms as well. Aye. Protoss players rejoice. That's that's the money shot for Protoss. That's the money shot. Here we go. I guess the other one would be like cutting up the army and trapping it with force fields and then having the storms as well. You got some options. But here we go. We're getting into game number 2, and spawning in the top right-hand corner of Hecate, we have the Polish Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Team Liquid. It is Elazer. And spawning. And yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you know what it is. In the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the French Protoss leading the series 1-0, representing the Platinum Heroes. It is DnS. Here we go. And again, DnS has been a player that we've been keeping our eye on for this entire year. He's been popping off. He's been having some really good showings against players like Maru, even Cyril in WTL. Again, DnS very much so impressed us in the summer season. But now it's the winter season. And now on the Platinum Heroes, he's a little bit overshadowed by Firefly in current day. But it's great to see him popping off here in game 1. I'm curious to see how he plays it out here in game number 2, though. Very curious, because Hecate, these bases are a little bit more spread out. Going for this high-tech turtle style, I do think is going to be more difficult on Hecate, but we'll see. We shall see. For now, hatch, gas pool, standard opener out of Elazer. And we'll keep an eye on DnS. Again, if you remember, DnS did go Stargate opener into a 3rd, into a Robo, into a Forge plus Robo delayed Twilight Council. That was the tell that it was going to be double Robo Colossus production very early on. So we'll see if he does something similar or if he does something else. The Overlord is moving out for a scout, just confirming the opener, confirming the standard play here of DnS. We'll see how Elazer does respond to that. We'll see how Elazer, how he adjusts as well as we ease our way into game number 2. There it is once again, Stargate opener for our Protoss, should be for Oracles. The opener itself should be the same, as in Oracles into a third base. It's just afterwards, like the order of the tech is really going to give us a tell with how DnS wants to play this out, how he wants to approach this. He doesn't just always have to play that turtle style. He can be active, he can be aggressive. He has shown us that before. He can show us that again. But DnS is not typically one to all in. That's not really his kind of vibe. He's not one to like be hyper aggressive and, you know, go for like an 8-gate 3-base all in, or like a like an Oracle into a third base into Glaive Adepts. That's not really how he approaches this. But we'll see. Again, keep an eye on him with what he brings to the table. First two Adepts are going to be moving out. They're going to be threatening the mineral lines here of Elazer. Queens are in position. We do commit to the shade, but Ling's going to be able to keep up as well. The mineral line is safe and sound. We do pick off a couple of Lings at least, but only Lings. So we do force this back. Again, Adept's not quite finding any damage yet, but now the Oracles have hit the field. Now that the Oracles have arrived, we should be expanding and taking a third, and there we go. The probe is on the way, and we are opting to take the linear third base this time. The Oracle dives in. We get one drone kill, but that's a lot of hull damage. 2 workers for half our HP. DnS has to be very careful with this Oracle. It is very battered and bruised. We do at least confirm the third, then get the hell out of there as we wait for the second Oracle to arrive. There we go. Third Oracle is on the way. Second Oracle is just chilling here at the third base to make sure that we're safe against any kind of Ling counterattack. Elazer, meanwhile, still just focusing on droning. Hasn't really made many Lings to harass across the map or to threaten the bases of DnS. As we get another drone. We get one more worker, and we have our transition. This time we don't have a fast robo. It is a straight up Twilight Council and Forge. This looks like +1 in Blink. This could also be +1 in Charge, as we saw earlier today. DnS is willing to play Charge Lord Archon instead. So he's got a couple of options. Does have some options. So everyone is going to be fought out. Ling's going to try to punish this or try to engage in some way, but the Oracles are kept at home, so DnS is pretty safe. Likewise, Elazer. Oh, he's going to be supply blocked for a moment there, working on a 4th base, droning up, taking his gases. We have +1 melee on the way. Ooh, I don't know if you heard that, but there's a thunderstorm outside. No, don't take away my internet, not again. Look, the last time there was a thunderstorm outside, it just completely cut off my internet, and it did disrupt the cast. So, bit of a PSA: if suddenly the internet dies, you know why? It's because lightning struck. It happened like 2 weeks ago. Oh my god, as we get a massive stage trap in the main. Oh, no reaction out of Elazer here, as almost half, more than half even of the drones do get caught out. Big pick off there from DnS. Behind this, it is going to be not Charge, but +1 and Blink. Gateway Explosion as well. A much more active style here from DnS, not the total style that we saw in Game 1. Oracles, they do dive in between these bases. It's going to be 7 drone kills. Ooh. God, they're very nice, actually. The Stasis Trap +7 worker kills, and we're not done. Okay, now we should be done by now. Oracles are retreating, but all 3 of them do survive. Good damage done here by DnS, picking Elazer apart. And Elazer, he did invest into the Roach Warren. No Roach speed yet. He's amassing Lings. He's going pure Ling for the time being. This could just be a safety Roach Warren. Once the layer is done, we could start working towards Hydras instead. I'm curious how we're going to play this out. There we go. Roach speed is on the way. We'll be soon investing into Roaches. Our Lings have arrived. They have arrived. They get across the map. They get into that base with the whole position micro. Oh, we saved the shield battery. Not the cannon, but the shield battery is safe and sound. Lings are forced back. Quick moves there from DnS. That was smooth. That was good. Oh my god, 4th base is on the way, but here we go. Elazer splits up his army. We got Lings on the left, we got Lings on the right. He invested so heavily into all these Lings. So far, they have not paid off. 26 more Lings in production. Infestation Mit's on the way for Hive Tech. Elazer on somewhat of a 4-base economy. He did cut drones. Elazer, instead of droning up to 80, he made all these Lings. He's trying to be active. He does get on top of some of these Stalkers. And he's coming in for the surround. The Oracles are going ham with these Lings. They do collapse on the Stalkers. We try to blink away. A lot of Stalkers are falling. Efficient trade for Elazer, but alas, he does lose too many Lings. Looking at the resources lost, 73! That was 73 Lings for 10 Stalkers. Oh my god. These Oracles went ham. These Oracles, they haven't just been picking away at drones, but the Lings as well. My god. That was a brutal trade for Elazer. And here we go. DnS pushing on forward. Remember as well that Elazer, he did delay his droning in favor of making all those Lings. Like, that was lava that was spent on army instead of economy. Elazer now getting up to 80 workers, but a delayed saturation. As Oracles are moving out, Hive is on the way. Oracles should confirm this. We'll see if they can get even more damage done. Meanwhile, back at home, we're taking up, working towards +2, charge. Now we have the Bay on the way for Colossus production. DnS, despite getting Blink, he hasn't been too active. I mean, to be fair, he tried to be active, but Elazer was there to meet him with all those Lings. Despite that, DnS has been trading well. And will soon be getting into that Robotech. Comes across the Ling army as DnS dances and keeps the attention of Elazer here on the left-hand side. We have a massive Zealot counterattack, and we're getting into the mineral line. We're getting into these drones. Workers are falling. DnS pushing forward with those Stalkers. He's pulling Elazer apart. It's a couple of roaches, but the Baileys are done. Ooh. Big connections. Despite that, they do not kill too many workers. Meanwhile, across the map, looks like another Bailing run by. Elazer loses 3 workers in his 5th base. Meanwhile, gets 6 probes across the map. Big Zealot warping into the main base. We have roaches in position. We are holding. Also, when it came to those Bailing connections earlier, they connected with the Stalkers, yes, but they didn't kill many of them. So many of them were left in the red or in the orange. They survived. So not the best use of Bailings. Despite that, Elazer, he's up in supply. Has his roaches. Hive is done. Vipers are on the way. So we will have an answer for this Colossi. Colossi production has started, but we already have the Viper. We are already working on that. Elazer trying to move out. Oh, connecting with that bile. Behind this, he's got a decent economy, sub 80, which is less than ideal. Supply blocks as well. 6 overloads on the way. Yeah, DnS, he does catch some of these units here. Bailing's going to be going down. We do pull back with the Colossus. Keep it alive. Meanwhile, at the same time, another Bailing counterattack getting into the middle line. 12 more workers go down. We need to leave something here. We need ay. As they get across the map, they're going for the base itself. They didn't get many workers. The hatchery is close to going down. DnS is going to keep pushing. +3 attack, Adrenal on the way. Elazer once again going for a big counterattack here towards that 3rd base. At the same time, DnS going for those Zealots. Ladies, they do engage with the Stalkers. Vipers pushing forward. So far, the Colossus, they do stand strong. Stasis traps, they do get triggered, and we should be able to get a yoink. We do get 1, and we get the 2nd. Both Colossi should be going down, just barely. At the same time, the Zealots, they did take down 1 hatchery, and they get into the main. Big warp in. And Elazer, he turns around. He was so close to breaking this as well. We have a handful of Stalkers, but Elazer is forced to turn back around. +3 is denied. It was just about to finish. We deny +3. We could maybe get on top of the spawning pool as well, but roaches, they have arrived. Zealots still camping that 3rd, or that 5th even. Zealots are being cleaned up. And even though Elazer was able to reset the Colossus count, he wasn't quite able to capitalize on that. We're rebuilding those Colossi, getting into +3. DnS, he has a better economy than Elazer. I was concerned earlier because Elazer, he was losing drones and he wasn't replacing them. Now falling behind economically. DnS pushing forward. Elazer, he's up in supply, but this is inefficient supply. The soup does lie when roaches are involved. It's the numbers. The soup doesn't tell an accurate story there. As they'll say, do get into the main base. They're going to be cleaned up. They get 3 more drones. Elazer going to try and push on forward. Does trigger one of those stasis traps. So far, good blinks. Another stage trap does get baited by Lings. The Viper has arrived. We're looking for another abduct. Meanwhile, oh my god, a Zealot counterattack. 10 more drones go down at the same time. Elazer dropping down to 60 workers. Now, he is super maxed. Elazer does have a bank to work with, and Elazer is still not droning, which is putting him all in. Elazer, he's maxing out. He won't have an economy to sustain himself. Trying to reestablish some of these bases. DnS being up in bases compared to his opponents, which is something you don't see too often in a PvZ. Never something you want to see. Viper's coming in. Would you get one? We get one, and we should get a second as well. Once again, both Colossi go down. Oh, but the stasis traps. They create a force field here working in favor of DnS. They deny this around. Gonna be able to back up. Behind this Zealot run by here towards the right-hand side. We just got this base up and running. Elazer does have Banelings on the way. Roaches as well. Should be able to hold. Zealots come in, but we have an army to deal with this. At the same time, Elazer pushing towards the north as well. Now with Archons. So far, one of them does get picked up. Oh, and yeah, we do see the Laser. He's having a really hard time trading. He's got 0-0 Roaches. He's got 2-0 Lings. Again, +3 was denied earlier. That was a big moment. The Ling buffer has been cleaned up. We're getting on top of the Roaches. Expensive losses here for Elazer. And he doesn't have the economy. He doesn't have the economy to sustain this. Lings are trickling on in, but here come the Zealots. The Banelings. We need good connections. We get a Blinding Cloud as well. The Zealots, they do pull back. They avoid the Banelings. Good control out of DnS, saving those Zealots. And now we can get on top of the army, and this is all that Elazer has left. We do have reinforcements trickling in. The Lings, can we hold? The Colossus arrives, and the Viper went down earlier. The Colossus looking exposed, but GG gets called. Elazer runs out of steam, and DnS, he takes the 2-0. GG. GG, well played. A big win there by DnS. And not playing the same style 2 games in a row. I appreciated that this time he was a little bit more active, did prioritize his Stalkers, his Colossi. They had their moments, but for the most part they were being shut down. What was really hurting Elazer were the Zealot counterattacks. Initially they weren't doing too much, but eventually they were killing workers, they were killing bases, they were denying tech. Remember, they even denied +3. +3 did not finish at all that game, despite how quickly we got the Hive. And as Elazer was losing workers, as he was losing bases, he wasn't able to replace them. He wasn't able to replace those workers over time. Things did snowball out of control in favor of the Protoss. And even though Elazer was able to get into some bases every now and then, and there were some moments, right, where we saw some Baneling run-bys where we just barely missed, like Baneling counterattacks, getting into mineral lines. DnS, he was so quick to replace those probes. Something that Elazer just wasn't able to do in time on his side. And GG. GG, well played. DnS will take the 2-0. Big win for him. Again, like, even though he struggled against Cyril, I mean, it's Cyril. Who doesn't struggle against him? And here, DnS taking down Elazer 2-0. Elazer being, what, arguably top 3 Zerg player in Europe? Good stuff. Really good stuff here. GG. Oh, proud of him, proud of him. Again, we've seen DnS's rise through the ranks this year, and yeah, really cool to see him continue that rise. And I'm sure we'll be seeing more of DnS in the future. But for now, we're getting ready for our next matchup, for our next series. It's going to be, we're taking a break from the Zergs. It's going to be a TVP between Dolan and Hearthstone. Let's go.